Now we will discuss a new chapter, dual nature of radiation and matter. It was observed by scientists that radiation sometimes behaves like waves and sometimes behaves like particles. Which behavior is to be considered for radiation depends on the nature of the experiment we are observing. That is what we are going to study in this chapter. So let us start with what we read in the previous chapter, that is electromagnetic waves. And in that chapter, we learnt about how electromagnetic waves are generated and what are the different types of waves that are produced. Now, it was Maxwell who proved that light travels in the form of electromagnetic waves. And with his famous mathematical equation, that is the closed path integral of B bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught times IC, that is conduction current, plus mu naught times epsilon naught d phi E by dt. That is the rate at which the electric flux changes. This part is called as conduction current, or we can say this is the conduction current and this is the displacement current ID. So this is what you learnt in Ampere's law, that is the closed path integral of B bar dot dl bar. So if you imagine any closed path around a current carrying conductor, the relation between the magnetic field at a point on the path is related to the current passing through that Amperean loop. So like this. But in the case of space in which a current can pass through, like that of a capacitor connected to a electrical source. So when current passes through a conductor to the capacitor for charging, how the charge flows or how that electric current flows from one plate of the capacitor to another plate. So there is no connection between these two plates. There is some empty space, but even then how the conduction is taking place. So of course, when the capacitor is fully charged by the battery, the flow of charge stops, and that is what in the case of DC circuits. And in AC circuits, of course, the capacitor plates are alternatively charged. That is what you learnt in alternating current chapter in AC circuits. So this equation formulated by Maxwell is known as Ampere-Maxwell's equation. Now, associated with this, the other formulas or equations such as the Gauss law of electricity, that is the closed surface integral of E bar dot dA bar is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. So that Gauss law of electrostatics and Gauss law of magnetism, that is the closed surface integral of B bar dot dA bar is equal to 0, because the total flux, magnetic flux in a closed surface is 0. So whatever flux comes in goes out. So the net flux enclosed in a magnetic flux enclosed in a closed surface is 0. That is Gauss law of magnetism. And similarly, Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So that is closed path integral of E bar dot dl bar is equal to, that is given by minus d phi by dt. So the rate at which the magnetic flux changes. And this is the fourth equation. So all these four equations together are called as Maxwell's equations. Now, these equations relate electric field and magnetic field. And we know that they mutually generate each other. It means whenever if an electric field changes in a region, a magnetic field is produced. That's why a current carrying conductor produces a magnetic field around it. Similarly, wherever the magnetic field changes, an electric field is induced. That is what we studied in electromagnetic induction. So, like that, during the same period of showing that radiation in the form of electromagnetic waves propagate in space, scientists were doing experiments with the passage of electricity through rarefied gases. It means rarefied gases means passing the current through gases enclosed in a discharge tube at very low pressures. So you might have read about discharge tube experiments in chemistry. So you know that at a pressure of 0.001 mm of Hg, that is at this mercury level pressure in a discharge tube, the entire tube is very dark, but the walls of the glass tube, that is discharge tube, opposite to that cathode, started glowing with some greenish yellow color. So the tube is made up of soda glass. So that glow is attributed due to the incidence of radiations or rays coming from cathode, and these rays are known as cathode rays. And experiments performed by Crookes, J.J. Thomson showed that these particles coming from cathode ray particles are negatively charged particles and are affected in magnetic field and also in electric field, and they have kinetic energy and they transport momentum. All these experiments you might have studied while studying the discharge tube experiment, how the electrons are found. Now, J.J. Thomson found that by changing the gases in the discharge tube, we obtain same type of negatively charged particles, and by changing the cathode, that is cathode material, the same type of cathode ray particles are produced. So they are considered to be universal, and applying electric and magnetic fields perpendicular to each other, he could determine the specific charge of an electron, and that is found to be 1.76 into 10 to the power of 11 coulombs per kg. Okay. Now, later, Millikan, with his famous experiment known as oil drop experiment, is able to determine the charge of electron. That is, he did several observations to determine the charge on a particle, and he calculated the least value that a particle can have, the least charge a particle can have, and he found it to be 1.602 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. So this is the lowest value of electric charge that any particle can have, or the charge on any particle is an integral multiple of this value. That is what Millikan found. So in the case of cathode ray particles, all the particles have this much amount of charge with negative property. That is, they are negatively charged particles having this value, and they are named as electrons. Later by Thomson, it was named as electron. So after knowing this charge of an electron, specific charge of electron, the mass of electron was determined. Mass of electron is found to be 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kilograms. So such experiments on particles, that is in order to know the structure of atoms or structure of matter, such experiments helped to know what are the fundamental particles or elementary particles with which atoms are constituted. And almost at the same time, the experiments performed by scientists showed that such same cathode ray particles, that is electrons, can be produced by different methods. So, electron emission from different methods were investigated, and the following are the three methods by which electrons can be produced from different materials. So, one is by thermionic emission. Thermionic emission. So, in this thermionic emission, if you heat a metal to a high temperature, electrons are observed to come out of the metal. So, such process by which electrons are produced is known as thermionic emission. And another thing, method is by field emission. This is field emission. That means when a strong electric field is applied on an electrode, that is, if a large potential difference is created between two electrodes connected to a high voltage battery, then it is observed that electrons are peeled out from emitter, that is a metal plate, so which can give out electrons. So we call that as emitter. So by applying a strong electric field of the order of 10 to the power of 8 volts per meter at atmospheric pressure, so that is the breakdown voltage or the dielectric strength of the air. So at that high voltage and electric field strength, electrons will come out from the metal surface. So this is what actually you can observe in the case of a spark plug. So if you see the spark plugs for in scooters and bikes, where the fuel is burnt by providing a spark between the two terminals, and the space will be nearly 1 mm or about 1 mm separation, where a large potential difference is created and a spark is produced. So that will ignite the fuel mixture and heat is generated. So that is an example where by applying a very strong electric field, the electrons can be emitted from a metal surface. So that process is known as field emission. And the third one is photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect or emission. So this is the process by which you can produce electrons from a metal surface when they are irradiated by radiations or light of suitable frequency. So it was observed experimentally by several scientists that when you shine UV radiation on a metal surface, electrons are being produced. So that effect is called as photoelectric effect. And such electrons produced are known as photoelectrons. So we are going to focus in this chapter mainly on this topic, that is photoelectric effect. So the next topic which we are going to discuss is about photoelectric effect. So when Hertz was doing experiments in his laboratory to produce electromagnetic waves by spark discharge method, he observed that the sparks enhanced near the emitter when that emitter surface is irradiated by UV radiations. So while doing experiments to produce electromagnetic waves by producing sparks between two electrodes, he observed that when the emitter plate is irradiated with ultraviolet rays, the sparks are enhanced. So that means more electrons are generated. So the sparks are enhanced. So that was first observed by Hertz. And later, scientists such as Lenard and Halbach, they did experiments on this photoelectric effect using different metal surfaces and also changing the applied potential difference between the electrodes and also changing the frequency of the radiation that is incident on it. So we will discuss in detail about this experiment arrangement. So let us discuss briefly actually what is photoelectric effect, and then we will go for the experimental observation made by Lenard and Halbach. So here it was observed that when you remove electrons from, you know that metals have free electrons, but their freedom is restricted. They themselves cannot come out of the metal surface, and because these free electrons are attracted by the ions. So they must have sufficient energy to overcome the pulling force. Then only they can come out of the metal surface. So that minimum energy required for an electron to come out from a metal surface is called as work function. Work function. So this work function depends on the nature of the metal or nature of the surface. Of course, the photoelectric effect that we observe is a surface sensitive phenomena. So it depends upon the impurities present on the metal surface also. So this is the energy required for a metal surface from which it can give out electrons with a minimum energy. So the electrons coming out from metal surface may have some kinetic energy. So for the electrons to just come out from the metal surface, how much energy is needed? So that energy is called as work function. So this work function is generally expressed in electron volts. You know the meaning of definition of electron volt. So if an electron is accelerated in a electric field between 2 points having a potential difference of 1 volt, the energy it acquires is known as 1 electron volt. So which is nothing but equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joules. So the energy of particles such as electrons, protons and nuclei particles are expressed in terms of electron volts. So instead of expressing in joules, we use that small unit electron volt to express the energy of the particles like electrons, protons, neutrons, etc. Now it was observed that some metals require very high energy to remove electrons from them. So for example, platinum metal surface requires nearly 5.65 electron volts to give out an electron. So that is the work function of platinum. Whereas cesium has very low value of the order of 2.14 electron volts. So depending upon the type of the metal used as emitter, the minimum energy required changes. Now we will go to the actual topic, that is photoelectric effect topic. So in 1857, Hertz first observed this photoelectric effect, and later Lenard and Halbach further did experiments on this photoelectric effect. Now it was observed by Lenard that when a zinc plate, so that Lenard and Halbwachs, they together did several experiments. So we will try to understand the gist of the experimental observations done by those two scientists and also Hertz. So a zinc plate which is having, say, negative charge, when irradiated with ultraviolet radiations, it lost its electrons. So the negative charge on the zinc plate decreased. So similarly, a neutral zinc plate, when exposed to UV radiations, it acquired a positive charge by losing some electrons. So similarly, a positively charged zinc plate, when irradiated with UV light, it is observed that the positive charge increased. So these observations shows that electrons are liberated from such metal surface. And it is also observed that some metals such as copper and cadmium, such metal surfaces, zinc, okay, you can say zinc, such metal surfaces require high energetic radiations or low wavelength radiations such as UV radiations for this photoelectric emission. Whereas alkali metals such as sodium, potassium, lithium, etc. So they exhibited this photoelectric emission even with visible light. So therefore, depending upon the nature of the metal surface, the minimum energy required for liberating electrons varies. So that was observed by scientists. And Halbwach and Lenard made a experimental setup to observe how this photoelectric effect is affected with the intensity of the light, with the frequency of the incident radiation, and the current which is measured using a microammeter, so that is called as photocurrent. So that is, it depends upon the number of electrons coming from the metal plate. So how this photocurrent depends upon the intensity of the light, and what is the maximum energy of that photoelectron. So such observations, that is the effect of intensity of radiation falling on the emitter, and the nature of the effect of frequency of the incident radiation, and the potential difference between the emitter and collector for the photocurrent that is observed in the external circuit was done. Such an experiment was done, performed by Halbwach and Lenard. So we are going to discuss in detail about this experimental setup and the results of the experiment.